We shot our first film here, most of it here in Texas. It was a lot of it was shot in Big Bend. And we learned on our first film, number one, how to work together. You know, we knew how to love each other, but working together and loving each other is a different deal. And so we learned how to talk to each other, how to help each other out. And so with Knuckle Jack, we moved really quick, and it was pretty seamless. What do you think, like the difference between Rumble Strips and Knuckle Jack?
Well, during Rumble Strips, we were traveling around the country, and in Knuckle Jack, we were just staying in one place, kind of, in Roscoe, our town, and our home in Beaver Kill. So.
Upstate New York.
Upstate.
So one of the, yeah, all right. One of the things that was fun about, after we shot Rumble Strips and lived in an RV for a year, we lived back where we're from, which is upstate New York. And this film is really kind of a celebration. You may not think so, but it's a celebration of that small town, you know, and kind of the beauty of it, the rough beauty, the kind of the wildness of it all.
Now, your older daughter's not in this because did she get an agent? She was asking for too much money at this point.
She looked at the pay grade between actors and directors and said, "I want to be a director." So after our first movie, she had acted, and when we were putting together our second one, Knuckle Jack, my 14-year-old at the time said, "I don't really want to act in it, but I want to direct it." And so we were like, "That's great." And she did a ton of directing, because a lot of the time, Toby, my wife, was working in New York City, and it was just me and Zelda and Lulu. And so Lulu was the one behind the camera doing the sound and doing the camera work. And she was wonderful, and we call her the BS meter, because if she thinks you're cheesy, she doesn't mind telling you.
How old is Lulu?
Lulu now is 15. At that time, she would be 14. Or 13, yeah,
Wow.
13.
How old are you, Zelda?
I'm 10, about to turn 11.
I have a question. I mean, you know, it's sort of a staple question that you always ask actors, but you don't get a chance to ask young actors. How do you prepare for a role? How did you get into this? Like, when you're reading it, when you're thinking about your character, do you talk to the director? Do you talk to your mom and do you talk to your mom and dad? Do you talk to the directors? Do you go off on your own and figure out how you're going to do it, who she is, what's going on?
Well, not really. It's not like we use a script, like we read over it all the time, like saying, "Oh, I'm going to say exactly that." Like what we do is before the scene, we say, basically, you're going to say something like, "I like cake," or whatever. And you say something that, like, summarizes that. So you're just like, okay, cake. Something, so that's basically how I prepare for it.
When I saw the film, I was completely excited, because I sometimes I'll read about the film before I watch the film, just so I can kind of put it all in perspective, because you're watching so many different aspects of it besides the story. You have to think about, you know, having festival guests and all of that. It comes into consideration. It's not just an enjoyable experience of like watching the movie. You have to like really pick it apart. And I was really excited to have. And I knew just by reading, I was like, man, this is the kind of movie I really want to bring to Victoria. And I was like, I hope it doesn't suck. Because it's like when I read about it, I was like, man, this is the perfect festival guest. These are great. And then my wife and I, she's pretty much my BS meter. Like, because I after watching so many movies, you start to really be hyper judgmental and whatever. But we both were just loved it.
You just said something that I want to recognize. You said how the audience will deal with it. And I just want to say, I'm going to go home with you guys in my heart, because I felt such a positive energy from this audience tonight. And this is what making movies is it's all about. Like, I got to sit back there and I just really felt great. And I got to say thank you to you all for your great energy. Thanks.